Have you ever spent months or maybe even years learning a new skill, like doing all the exercises, memorizing all the
Well,
rules?
yeah, putting in the hours.
Right, exactly. Putting in the hours only to just completely freeze up when it's time to actually use it in the real world. It happens all the time. But man, it is especially painful with a new language. You spend hours on those apps. You stare at grammar tables until your vision literally blurs. And
They
then,
actually have to talk to someone.
yes,
Oh,
the moment of truth arrives, you step up to speak to a native speaker and suddenly you just sound like a robot. You know, a very polite, incredibly stiff robot reading from a script.
yeah, that is a very common, very frustrating wall that people hit.
Totally. Well, today's deep dive is based on this incredibly insightful guide. It's titled Beyond Textbooks, Mastering Natural Conversational Russian. And it basically argues that this robotic freeze happens because textbooks teach us a version of the language that literally no one under the age of 60 actually uses.
Right. It's too formal.
Yeah. So, okay, let's unpack this, because if we want to figure out how to ditch that academic persona and learn the unspoken psychological rules of the language, we have to look way past the literal vocabulary.
We really do. I mean, the vast majority of language instruction out there focuses entirely on the mechanics, the nuts and bolts of syntax.
Sure.
But they completely ignore the human element. The core theme of our source material today is that fluency isn't just about knowing more words. It's about cultural shortcuts and linguistic micro-habits.
Micro-habits. I like that.
Yeah, because to actually become someone a native speaker wants to grab a coffee with, you have to understand the psychology driving the conversation, not just the grammar holding it together.
And the psychology, it starts before you even attempt to conjugate a single verb, doesn't it? I mean, your fundamental body language is already giving you away as a foreigner.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Especially if you bring this standard Western baseline into the interaction, because in English-speaking cultures, we have this default setting for casual public spaces.
Right, the automatic friendliness.
Exactly. You walk into a store, you make eye contact with a stranger on the street, you approach a barista, and you just naturally smile. You throw out a quick, "Hi, how are you?"
And when you ask that, you aren't actually looking for a genuine assessment of their well-being, right?
Not at all.
It's purely functional. It's just a verbal handshake.
Yeah, I always think of that default Western smile as an emotional screensaver.
An emotional screensaver.
Yeah, it's just this low-level program running in the background. It doesn't mean you're experiencing some moment of profound joy. It just signals to the other person, hey, I mean, you no harm. We are having a frictionless, safe interaction.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right. It takes zero emotional processing power. It's just the screensaver keeping the monitor from going dark.
Well, and that emotional screensaver works perfectly in the West.
Yeah.
But if you try to run that exact same program in Russian culture, it falls utterly flat.
Just crashes the system.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
To understand why, we have to look at the cultural divide between public and private spaces. In Russian culture, the public sphere isn't a place for casual emotional performance.
Okay, so a smile isn't just a social lubricant there.
No, not at all. A smile is a deeply genuine, earned expression of joy, or a marker of a real personal connection.
So if I'm walking through Moscow, with my default screensaver smile,
Yeah.
just projecting this unearned friendliness to people I'm not signaling that I'm polite. I'm signaling something else entirely.
Yeah, you are signaling insincerity.
Ouch.
The guide provides a very famous Russian proverb that perfectly encapsulates this mindset. It's smek bez prichini priznaktarakini.
Smek bez prishini. Okay,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
It translates roughly to, laughter without a reason is a sign of a fool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Laughter without a reason is a sign of a fool. That is blunt.
It is blunt, and it's very real. If you are walking around with a constant unearned grin, native speakers won't assume you are just a nice, upbeat person.
What will they assume?
They might think you are simple-minded. Or, even worse, they might think you are insincere and hiding something. Like, are you mocking them? Are you trying to sell them something?
Oh, wow. So it actually creates suspicion rather than warmth.
Exactly. A neutral, relaxed face paired with genuine, calm eye contact commands infinitely more respect.
Okay, so I drop the screensaver smile. I keep my face neutral, but I still have to, open my mouth and deploy the one greeting my textbook drilled into my brain.
Let me guess.
Yeah, kaktela,
Yeah.
which translates to, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the guide, it says this is a massive trap.
Grammatically, Kakdela is perfect,
Hmm.
but culturally, it is a landmine.
A landmine. Just for saying, how are you?
Well, yeah. Because of that same demand for authenticity we just talked about, Russian doesn't really do superficial throwaway questions. If you ask someone как дела, you are explicitly inviting a detailed, honest evaluation of their life.
So if I just casually drop that to an acquaintance in the hallway, I'm not getting a brisk, fine, thanks you, as we walk past each other.
Definitely not. You might get a 15-minute breakdown of their current stress at work, their ongoing health issues, or complex family dynamics.
Oh, man. So it's an actual question.
Yes, it is a genuine inquiry into their reality.
Yeah.
If you use it as a throwaway greeting, you are basically violating the weight of the question.
Okay, I need to pivot then, because if I just want to acknowledge someone casually, interact with people my own age, and sound natural without accidentally triggering a therapy session, what should my go-to phrases be?
Well, the guide offers highly compressed alternatives that natives actually use to establish a casual rhythm. Instead of that rigid textbook line, you can throw out, "Как, oh no," which literally translates to, how is it?
Как? Oh no. Okay, that feels much lighter.
It is.
Yeah.
Or you can use "Chatko novogo," which just means, what's new?
Chateau Novogo.
Right. And if you are already among friends and you want to establish a very relaxed, kind of low-energy vibe, you use a simple "Kakadi," meaning, how are you doing? Notice how they drop all that heavy formality.
Yeah, much more conversational. But here's where it gets really interesting, though. Let's say I successfully navigate the greeting.
Okay, you're past the hard part.
I keep my face neutral, I give a cool kakono, and the person responds. Now, I actually have to maintain the conversation. I have to formulate a real sentence.
And this is where the mental freeze happens.
Yes, because my brain is desperately trying to remember, the instrumental plural of some random noun and the accusative ending of an adjective. And while I'm doing that mental math, there's just dead silence.
Dreaded dead air.
The conversation just dies. So how do natives speak so fluidly while I'm standing there internally panicking?
Well, when you watch native speakers talk, they aren't mentally running through complex grammatical grids before they speak.
Right.
They aren't consciously visualizing tables of dative and accusative cases. They're navigating the space between the words. And they buy themselves time to think without breaking the rhythm of the sentence by using filler words.
Ah, the connective tissue of the language. I love thinking about this, like driving a manual transmission car.
How so?
Well, if you're driving a stick shift and you need to change gears, say you need to shift from thinking about your vocabulary to figuring out the right grammar case. You can't just jam the gear shift.
Right, you'll ruin the car.
Exactly. You'll grind the gears, the car violently jerks, and you stall out entirely. That's what happens when you just stop talking to think. You stall the conversation.
That is exactly it. The silence is the stall. But filler words function as the clutch.
The clutch, yeah.
You press the clutch in, it briefly disengages the engine pressure, and the car keeps coasting smoothly forward. It gives your brain that split second to shift into the right gear without the passenger ever noticing a disruption in the ride.
So if I'm mid-sentence and I feel the stall coming on because I don't know the word for, appointment, I shouldn't just stand there going, while staring at the ceiling. I need to hit the clutch.
You absolutely need to hit the clutch. And the source material highlights 3 specific linguistic clutches that you must master.
Okay, lay them on me.
Let's look at the first one. It's Короче.
Короче.
Literally, it means shorter, or in short.
Mm.
Russians use this constantly to wrap up a wandering thought or to transition to the main point of a story.
Oh, I see.
So if you feel yourself stalling, you just drop Короче into the sentence. It gives your brain a literal 2-second window to formulate the rest of your thought.
And it sounds natural.
Exactly. To the listener, you don't sound confused. You sound like you are actively summarizing your point.
That is incredibly practical. It's like a socially acceptable pause button.
It really is.
Now, the guide also mentions a phrase that functions almost like a chameleon, depending on how you say it. Da ladno.
Oh, da ladno is a classic.
Wait, if this entire phrase changes meaning based on intonation, how do I know if someone is using it positively or negatively? Is it all in the face?
It's in the face, the pitch, and the energy. The lados is brilliant because it scales with the emotion of the room.
Give me an example.
Okay, let's say you tell a friend a piece of completely shocking news. They widen their eyes, hit you with a high energy, da ladno. Now it means no way, or you're kidding.
Like get out of town.
Exactly. But imagine a completely different scenario. Someone accidentally bumps into you on the subway and starts profusely apologizing.
Okay, low stakes.
Right. You drop your energy, soften your voice, wave your hand slightly, and say, "Da ladno, sio normalno." Now it means, don't worry about it, let it go, it's fine.
Wow.
One phrase, Entirely different functions, dictated entirely by the emotional frequency you inject into it.
It really is a Swiss Army knife. I can use it to act surprised or to diffuse tension. And what about when I'm trying to wrap up a really messy explanation? Say I've been stumbling through a story for 3 minutes and I just want to land the plane.
That's when you use the third clutch, the общем.
The option.
Yeah. This translates to generally or basically.
Yeah.
It is the perfect launch pad for summarizing a complex thought. It signals to the listener, okay, I'm bringing all these fragmented ideas together now.
Общем. So if I weave Короче, ладно, and общем into my speech, I stop sounding like a perfectly formatted, highly unnatural audio file.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, using these words injects humanity into your syntax, you are proving that you understand the rhythm of the culture, not just the rules of the textbook.
But, the guide argues that none of this matters, not the filler words, not the neutral face, if your emotional delivery is fundamentally out of sync with the culture.
Yeah, that's a huge point.
We have to match the language's emotional frequency, particularly when it comes to conflict or disagreement.
This might be the deepest insight from the source material, honestly. Russian is a deeply expressive, authentic language. It actively rejects the padding we use in the West, which we might call corporate politeness.
Oh, corporate politeness. The classic. I hear what you're saying, and that's a really interesting perspective, but have we considered maybe taking a slightly different approach?
Exactly. All those padding words are designed to soften the blow of a disagreement.
Right.
In English, we think we're being respectful by not challenging someone directly. But in Russian, if a native speaker disagrees with you, they aren't going to dance around the issue with layers of polite padding.
They just go for it.
They will just tell you. They will say, "Да нет, это не так," which literally means, no, that's not how it is.
Wait, I have to push back here on behalf of anyone listening who is just starting out. As a beginner, if I just look a native speaker in the eye and say, no, that's not how it is, isn't there a huge risk of coming across as just plain arrogant or actively rude?
This raises an important question, and it's a very natural fear for Western learners. We assume directness equals hostility.
Right, it feels aggressive.
But we have to look at the mechanism of trust in this culture. In a society that historically relied heavily on tight-knit, high-trust networks to survive, often leaning on close friends and family rather than distant bureaucratic systems, how do you prove you're trustworthy?
I guess by being honest.
Exactly. You offer brutal, unvarnished honesty.
So if I pad my words and use all those softeners, I don't sound polite. I sound like a salesman.
You do.
I sound like someone with a hidden agenda.
You sound evasive. In this cultural context, directness is transparency. It is a profound form of respect for the other person's time and intellect. You aren't wasting their time with superficial flattery.
You're just giving it to them straight.
You are giving them the authentic truth of your perspective. The padding is what's disrespectful.
That completely flips the script. I mean, wow. And this demand for authenticity, this weight of truth, it extends to the actual physical act of speaking, doesn't it? The guide mentions a specific rule about intonation that absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah, it's a subtle physical habit, but it changes everything about how you are perceived. In English, we have a habit of using a rising, questioning intonation at the end of our sentences.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when we are unsure of ourselves, or when we want to soften a statement, we let our pitch drift upwards.
The classic uptalk, like, I think we should go to the store.
Exactly.
Even though it's a statement, we make it sound like a question just in case the other person disagrees, so we don't come on too strong.
Right. But in Russian, if you want to sound natural and command respect, you must do the opposite. You must drop your intonation at the end of your statement.
Drop it.
You let the pitch fall. You plant the sentence firmly on the ground. You have to speak with weight.
Speak with weight. Don't let the sentence just float away as a question. So what does this all mean for the learner who is terrified of making a mistake, who's, holding back because they don't have the grammar perfectly aligned yet?
It means your priorities have been upside down. A native Russian speaker will respect a direct, confident attempt, even if your grammar is flawed, even if you use the totally wrong case, infinitely more than a grammatically flawless sentence delivered with timid, over-polite hesitation and an upward inflection.
That is fascinating.
Confidence and authenticity cover a multitude of grammatical sins.
That is incredibly liberating, because it means the true secret to fluency isn't about locking yourself in a room until you've memorized the dictionary.
Not at all.
It's about adapting to the cultural psychology of the people you actually want to connect with. It's about showing up as a human being, not a walking textbook.
It's the evolution from academic translation to cultural translation.
Yeah.
The mechanics of the skill only get you in the door. The emotional intelligence, the awareness of the public-private divide, understanding the weight of small talk, that is what actually allows you to pull up a chair and join the conversation.
Whether you are trying to learn Russian, navigating the culture of a new workplace, or diving into a completely new field of study, looking past the textbook rules to find the underlying human element is always the ultimate shortcut to mastery.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to use the clutch.
Yes, hit the clutch.
You have to know when to drop the screensaver.
Absolutely.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder on your own, something that builds on everything we've uncovered today. If speaking this language naturally requires you to drop your polite Western masks,
And it does.
if it forces you to ditch superficial small talk and communicate with blunt, unwavering emotional authenticity, does mastering this language actually rewire your psychology?
Oh, that's a great question.
Can learning to speak natural Russian with all its directness and weight eventually make you a more genuine version of yourself?
Language shapes thought. It definitely forces you to inhabit a new perspective.
Something to chew on the next time you find yourself hiding behind an emotional screensaver. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the textbooks, keep looking for the human element, and we will catch you on the next one.